this is Jenny from Just Being Me, and you're listening to the Learning to Love Yourself podcast, the show that inspires you to put yourself first.
Learning to love yourself on the path to happiness. Learning to love yourself on the path to happiness.
So welcome back to the latest episode, and this is a very special episode because this is episode number 50, and we have Vivienne Joy with us. Hello. And she's going to tell us all about her self-care journey.
Oh, Jenny, self-care journey with Jenny. So you can't take the coach out of the room, can you?
So I did my NLP training with Viv, and I now do a lot of other things with Viv. It seems to be a regular basis that we see each other, so go check her out.
I love that. It's joyful. It's joyful to be part of your journey, Jenny. So thank you for choosing me.
Thank you. Thank you.
Quite a long time ago. In fact, it goes right back to childhood, if I'm allowed to go that far back. So I guess I was about 13, and I used to be a competitive and semi-professional ballroom dancer, little known fact, quite competitive and high achiever from a very young age. My mum wanted me to do everything she couldn't as an only child, and my mum was very underprivileged in her life, so she wanted me to have everything. We didn't have any money, but we had lots of motivation and lots of time, essentially. So I loved that, and I was really good at that. And then I stopped doing that when I discovered boys wanted to do the stuff we did when we were 13, 14, back in Gen X times. Wanted to stand on street corners, drinking like the cider and smoking fags. Like, I look back at that version of me and go, bless you, what on earth were you doing? But anyway, that's what I did. And I gained a lot of weight very, very quickly because, of course, I went from doing like 4 hours of exercise a day to standing on a street corner drinking cider. So my body changed a lot. My fitness changed a lot. And I remember being in sort of third year seniors, so I'd have been like 14, nearly 15, and realizing I was overweight. I mean, I'd never been slim, don't get me wrong, but I definitely realized at that point there was something not quite right. And I went on my first diet, and I look at that, I think that probably wasn't right. So I went to Weight Watchers and lost a lot of weight. Once I realized what I was supposed to be eating. No one ever taught me, and my mum didn't know. My mum had never had really a weight problem, although she always thought she was fat. So yeah, that was one of my first knowledge of I need to take care of myself, because I'd gone from being very fit, so it didn't really matter what I ate, you know, I was just sturdy, I think is how you described me back then, to being genuinely quite overweight. So that was my first time. Fast forward then, I think probably the next time was after my mum died. So, oh no, there's another time before that. This is a real journey, sorry. So I suppose I was about 24, 25. My mum had had cancer for the first time. And I was with a boyfriend who was very abusive. So long story short, very abusive relationship. And I basically used to sit at home and eat to get through the evenings with this guy. So I look back at that, again, another version of myself who was very disempowered, believed everything he said. You know, he used to call me names I would never repeat to anybody, let alone myself. And I got through it by eating, so therefore gained a lot of weight back again. And I split up with him, had a lot of work to do on myself, confidence. I moved home again. My mum was always a big champion of me and, you know, put me back together again. I was really fortunate in that. My mum loved to talk, very deep talking, hence why I do deep structure coaching, very much connected with the emotions of everything going on and really wanted me to feel good. So my dad, bless him, wanted to watch the telly, and me and my mum used to be chatting. So yeah, consequently decided I needed to do something about the weight, and I went and did a diet. It's all very diet related, called Obesity Lifeline is what it was called. I mean, that's how I felt. It's now called Lighter Life. I think it's now called one-to-one diet. So you probably see this, so it's evolved itself.
It's evolved.
And I was really fortunate because the lady that ran that was also a counsellor. And I think, you know, if it hadn't been for her, I don't really know what would have happened to me. But she didn't just give you the packs of, you know, milkshakes and soups and things, but she had like a talking circle. So I look at where my life has now gone. I think she was the beginnings of that. It's okay to explore. There was a lot of crying. I actually was the slimmest in the group at the time. Looking back, they were all like, what are you doing here? You're a size 16. I was like, well, I never used to be a size 16. Like, this is not who I am. So that was the beginnings of that. And then fast forward when my mum had cancer the second time, and I was the slimmest I'd ever been because I wasn't taking care of myself. So I've got lots of stuff wrapped up in feeding yourself good food is not taking care of yourself. Actually, starving yourself is taking care of yourself. So I've had to unpick a lot of that as I've got older. But I think about 3 years after my mum actually died, so it was a terrible year in my life. It really was quite it changed and defined a lot for me. Where I realised, and this is the crux of, I think, your question, we finally got there, is I realised I kind of left myself behind. So my mindset and my ability to work was always really important. I started a business just shortly after my mum died, kind of threw myself into that. But what I did was throw the rest of my needs in the bin. Like, my own physical needs didn't matter. And I still don't think, even at 52 now, and that was 22 years ago, literally just passed, I don't still think I've picked up my physical needs. I will literally desert my physical needs. So you ask what my journey is to get to that, where I look after myself. It's evolutionary. I'm still there. I'm still trying to work that bit out. And I'm now married to a wonderful woman who looks after me really well, which is great. But actually, when she's not around, do I look after myself? Well, no. I'll be like, I think I still eat like a 15-year-old. Honest to God, I'd be like, I just have toast, or I just have cereal. If I'm left to my own devices, I don't think I do very well. Until I did live on my own, actually, and I did start to look after myself, and that was just when we went into lockdown and I met Emma. So I think I was just starting to turn that corner, and then things changed, and now I'm looked after again. So probably much better than I've ever been looked after before in my life, in honesty. She cooks everything from scratch, but she doesn't make brilliant cakes. So yeah, that's my journey, if you like. I don't think I've picked myself up, Jenny. I really don't.
You've picked yourself up in many other ways, though, haven't you? Because I know that you've had a journey of many different businesses and many different lifestyles, and a lot of those lifestyles not particularly good for you. So you have actually recognised that you need to change this and I need to change that. You, the diet one, the weight one, eating one, is the one that feeds through all the time.
It's the nemesis. I call it the nemesis. It's the ride of my life. Like, it's how it, it's been my companion constantly. And I think probably a lot of people who've got food problems, I'll just call it that, not a very good relationship with food. It's been there, in my saddest times, when I was being bullied at school, food was there. When I was in an emotional, shit relationship, food was there. When my mum was dying, food was there. So, if I look at all these times now, and I did some work with a coach years ago, it was very expensive. And the key message I got from him was, your brain decides it needs energy to do a big task. It's a bit like that hunter-gatherer thing. So when you're going out to hunt, your brain thinks you need a lot. And I think a lot of my life is a big ask. Like, I put a lot of pressure on myself. I'm like, you can, if I want to fill it with 10 people, I'm like, how can I get 20? Like, I'm never, in my head, I've never achieved enough. And I think that's what drives me quite a high. Not anybody else, just all me. So I always feel like I've got a big task on. So I'll be sitting at my desk going, right, I'll eat some chocolate because I've got to, create this new program. So, stuff that most people wouldn't even think of doing, I'll do in like half an hour, but I fuel up for it. So I know this is what this is. So I think I'm trying to look after myself, but I don't think I'm doing a very good job of it, because that's probably not the best thing needed for me. What I probably should have done is sat in my power for half an hour and got myself in the right space and then done it. So I think I'm starting to understand a bit more, and that's obviously the precursor to change, is understanding what isn't working, what is working, what needs fixing, how to fix it. So, but yeah, my mindset, as you've just said, I mean, literally gets every part of me. I keep my energy clean and clear at all times. Like, I don't really drink anymore even, so I do a lot of energy work. I do my mindset work myself. Like, if there's any challenge or problem I find during any sessions, I go and sort it out. My spiritual development practices are just always like, I regularly attend spiritual churches, and I will constantly be checking in with my higher self, with the future versions of myself, with my spirit team, with energy around me, just checking that everybody around me is how they should be. So as you can hear, probably the things that most people don't do, I will literally do without even thinking about. But the actual physical part of me, I've definitely left behind. So I just ran an event, and one of the ladies there is the opposite to me. So like, her physical self, she does something incredible. She runs a CrossFit gym, and she's like really, she's a weightlifter, and she's really, really, really fit. And it's her first go-to. That's the first thing she thinks about. Me, it's on the bottom of my list. It's the last thing I think about. I'm like, oh yeah, shit, you should really go for a walk, or you should go swimming, or you should do something actually, because your body has been sat in a constant position. My mind gets all my attention, and I know that balance isn't right.
And that's key, isn't it? It's the balance thing. It is actually having the balance in your life.
Yeah.
And feeding yourself completely into one side doesn't work. It's got to be the balance going on. However, you have never let the fact that you have issues with food stop you, have you?
No, never. Stop me from what you mean from building my business?
Anything, building your business, life, changing, working out who you are, nothing.
No,
Doesn't
it does stop me with things like I love a little known fact. I don't know if I ever mentioned this to anyone, but I love a volcano, Jenny. Like I love a volcano. I love volcanoes. I'm quite fascinated by them, and I've trekked up a few in my younger years when I was fitter, and I've accidentally trekked up Mount Vesuvius in a pair of flip-flops. That's another story. After a bottle of red wine in a restaurant at the bottom, didn't even know I didn't even know that's what it was. But actually, because I wasn't in my own way with fitness in my mind, I was able to do that. I mean, I was at the summit, and there's people with those walking sticks. There's me in like a bikini top with a. I can look back at that and think, oh, that was a bit weird, wasn't it? But my mindset couldn't get in the way because I think I'd had a bottle of wine. I was kind of just on another planet with it all. So it does get in my way with that kind of thing. And it doesn't stop me in confidence. Like I wouldn't ever not go to something, but it will give me that, oh, I should feel better, I should look better. I've definitely been judged for my physical appearance. I mean, if anyone's listening to this, it's making myself sound like I'm like 100 stone or something. I'm not. But it does make me think I should be better at that. Like I know that if I do all the mindset work around my physicality, then I should be better. And I've had someone say, oh, you can't be that good at what you do because you're fat. Someone actually said that to me, and I thought, wow, well, at least I'm not rude. It's actually what I thought, whereas that was quite rude. So it hasn't stopped me, but I think would I have more energy if I was fitter? Yes. Would I be more confident? God help the world. Yes, probably. And there is definitely, if you heard that little part there, and I'm sure you did as a coach, actually, there's something that keeps me out of my full power, and I think that's that. And I do think it's possibly a good thing. Years ago, I think that I believe the core of the bullying was that I was too much in my feminine power, too much in my awesomeness, and that was a bit too much for the world. And those girls couldn't deal with that. So I think there's a little part of me keeps myself not phenomenal, not brilliant, not perfect, not, and that for me, that is that. But I figure I can do it at about 3 stone lighter and it'd still be okay. So that's what I'm trying to convince my unconscious on. Like, we don't want to be skinny, we don't need to be really fit, we don't need to look perfect, but actually if our size 14 is probably where you want to be. So this is the deal I'm doing, and that's how I've managed to get to a situation where I'm eating differently, not perfectly, I hasten to add, and slowly I've committed to, in fact, I decided this week, decided to lose £1 a week, and that will take me to my target by mid 2026. And I think, yeah, I'm all right with that. £1 a week I'm okay with. It's at a speed that I'm comfortable with. My unconscious won't panic, because I think in the past I've thought, lose half a stone here before the holiday and lose 4 pounds on this diet, and that's not the right energy for me anymore. Definitely not.
When you were talking about how you should feel,
yeah,
and the shoulds are about other people's values, aren't they? They're not about your own values.
They are, but people have to have the right perception of you when you're in business. Like, that perception is everything. Even though I can't control their perception, I can to a certain extent. If I rock up somewhere looking like like I've just fallen out of bed, then people are going to make a judgment call about me, aren't they? If I rock up in full glam makeup to something that's a bit more casual, they're going to make a judgment call. So we've got this unconscious bias, and and people that are overweight have got a more unconscious bias about people who are overweight than people that haven't. So like people who haven't had weight issues don't really even see it typically. They don't, because they don't really understand the full extent of how it makes someone feel. The same as, I know that friends of mine that still smoke. I used to be a smoker back in the day, like 22 years ago, in fact, 21 years ago. That really rules who they are as people. They care about that. They feel like judged about it. People that are not really very, in fact, my wife continuously talks about her accent. Like, people are going to judge her because she was born in London but brought up in Essex, so she's got a very Essexy kind of accent. She's like, you're far posher than I am. I'm like, there's nothing posh about me under any circumstances. Do I have an Essex accent? More so now, actually, since I've been with her for 4.5 years. There it is, right there. Yeah. But I was born in London too, so the only difference is where we were brought up. Your upbringing has a lot to do with it.
We all have all of this things that we believe we're not good enough about for because you're not in. You weren't born in the right place or whatever, but it's how you look at it and take yourself forward with it, isn't it? Because my experience of you, and having met you in person, you are certainly not 100 stone by any stretch of the imagination.
I keep eating cake like I did today. I might be. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, well, when you get a wife that can make cakes, that's what happens, isn't it?
It's 4:20 and all I've eaten today is cake. That is the only thing that I've fueled my body on. So I'm going to come down with a big later on, probably today. So I'm quite hot.
So if you look back at all of those times, what's the lessons that each of those times have taught you? what's taken you forward from that? What have you taken from it?
Lovely question. Each of those times, my brain wanted to bring up some more times, which is quite weird there. But the one that really I think is sticking in my mind as you're asking that question is when my mum died, actually, because I'd spent a year taking care of her every need. Like, I was bedside. I dumped everything in my life. Luckily, I was doing a job at the time. I was employed, and the company I worked for, they were brilliant. They were really amazing. They were like, whatever you need. I was part of their senior management team. I was, probably responsible for quite a lot of the success they had. So they were willing to wait for me, and they were willing to support me. So I'd be bedside all day, and then at night I'd go and work. So I'd literally work through the night. And I think at that point I literally dumped my own needs. So if I could go back to that version of me, pretty sure one of my coaches, maybe you, can take me back there, it would be to actually, you're important too. So yes, it's important that you do right by your mum, and your mum has those, she knows you're there and has that support. I didn't want to have that regret. I didn't want to have that, oh, I wish I'd visited more. I wish I'd spent more time. I wish I'd told her I loved her. I've definitely got no regrets around that, which made that loss a bit easier. But actually I lost myself, and that loss is quite hard. And I definitely don't think I've picked myself up from that. And I'm a bit emotional as I say that. So I definitely have left a part of me back there. If I look at the me of kind of maybe age 26, so 3-4 years before that, I used to go to legs, bums and tums. Do you remember those classes? Step aerobics. I used to swim up 2 or 3 miles a week. So I was really quite fit. I was never slim, as in, anybody's imagination, but I was really fit, and I took care of myself, if you like. I did go out and get drunk, so I probably didn't take good care of myself. But, when I wasn't going out and getting drunk on a Friday or Saturday night, I was taking care of myself. So I think this, when was it? April I did it. I was like, right, okay. I realised this at the beginning of the year and thought, right, you need to do something about this. And I signed up for the swimathon for Diabetes UK, and started to swim 22k. So over a 12-week period. And that was really, it was brilliant to raise a lot of money. In fact, I'm up at the top 5% of fundraisers for them, high achiever, and swimming is my thing, remember? But actually it was more about getting myself back in that habit of swimming 2 or 3 times a week, because that is a space for me. It's what I love doing. I feel nice and free. I love water. I could stay there. I feel good after it. Do I like doing it at 6 o'clock in the morning when it's freezing cold? No. So it is a bit of a get out, come on, get on with it. You can do this, you'll feel better for it. So really persuading myself to do it. So I'm definitely on a journey of picking myself up. But even stuff like right down to, I'll go to a gong bath and my brain has trouble switching off. ADHD obviously, but has trouble switching off into, this is time for you. My brain says, oh, this is time to create a new business plan. This is time to create a whole new product. Oh, what are you going to call that thing that you talked about last week in your head? It's almost like the business is still more important, because that's what I used to get over the loss of my mum. So of course I use that as a coping tool, and it stays a coping tool, and it's a coping tool that also gives me great joy, helps change lives, and gives me a lifestyle I love. So it's very, very important. So it's always going to win. I can't ever see a time where my physical needs win over my business, not ever. And I think that's probably something I need to accept, but there should be a better balance. As a Libra, there needs to be a better balance. It's definitely been about a 98-2%. I now reckon it's about a 90-10, but it definitely should be that 80-20. And I think if I can get that, and some people will say, no, Vivienne, that's terrible. Yourself should be more important, but my mission is way more important than me. And that's always been the case with me. So.
But rather like myself, you travel through life and then something changes that for you. Yeah. And me being fit and me not eating certain things and what have you has never been a massive thing for me. But obviously having a health scare or having a health issue changed that completely for me. So it is very much about now. You and I are on the same trajectory of 2 years' time. This is the end goal,
It's oddly you used to say that, I think, and I've gone and touched some wood. I'm not really that superstitious, but let me find something that's not MDF. But I remember that when I worked with this guy, this weight coach, slimming coach, whatever he called himself, The first thing I did was have a load of tests. So I had to get, the first time I'm not an ill person. I don't consider myself to be. I've definitely got my dad's constitution, not my mum. My mum was always ill, my dad wasn't, and I definitely am more him. And I went and had all these tests, you know, the well woman check, I think they call it, and very, very much advised to anybody that does that. And I remember him, he was like, his name was Adam, this guy I was dealing with. I remember him like he was desperate for these results, because I think he thought he was going to find high blood pressure, cholesterol, diabetes. And they came back and I sent them to him. I said, well, they've said everything is normal, but here's like all the, like, you know more about this than I do. I don't know what all those percentages and numbers are. And he just said, you're a fucking, am I allowed to swear on here? I don't know if I'm allowed.
You're an 18.
He said, you're a fucking medical marvel. What do you mean? He went, well, he said, I'm amazed. He said, I've never seen such good bloods. And he said, when I consider your weight, your age, your lifestyle, he said, it's quite incredible. And I said, yes, because my belief system is that I'm fit and healthy and well, and I recover really quickly from everything. And he just looked at me and went, yeah, maybe we need to do some mindset work with you afterwards. But the mind is everything. You know, I really have a true belief I can do anything. I'm, you know, brilliant at healing myself, and I have done, and I've proved it several times. I've healed, you know, sprained ankles and all sorts, much quicker than anybody else, because I believe in the power of our mind. So but this year in January, sort of December, January, I don't know if it was COVID because I wasn't tested, but if it wasn't COVID, it was something really bad, and I was really, really poorly. And I think that's the first time in my life I've looked at my own mortality. Obviously, I'm a spiritualist, so I've got no fear of leaving and going home, essentially. But that's the first time I really thought, oh, I think this might be how I die. I've got asthma, which very rarely rears its head, but it did rear its head then. And I realized the power of mindset and what happens when it diminishes, because literally in the space of about a week and a half, I went from, yeah, I've just got a cold, or I've just got this, to holy shit, I can't breathe, to I can't sleep, I can't eat. I lost like weight then, not voluntarily. I couldn't eat. I didn't have any will to live. And I'm not saying I was thinking, please don't get me wrong, I wasn't in the take my own life kind of frame, but I really did start to wonder, this is how people feel when they have so little belief in their ability to heal, or self-esteem. Or for the first time in my life, I genuinely thought, wow, this is how people feel when they're really low. And I was really low, like, for me, probably not compared to other people, but properly low. I couldn't be bothered to do anything. And by the time I got to the doctors, luckily it's 2 streets away, and I managed to drive. I still to this day don't know how. Thank you, universe, somebody help me. And I managed to get into the doctors. Emma had to bath me and dress me. I was proper poorly. And I remember getting to the doctor, and she just took one look at me, as much as say, what the hell is going on here? And she listened to my chest, and they gave me steroids. And we went and got the steroids. Our doctors are brilliant, by the way. Sorry for anybody that's got shit doctors, but ours are still phenomenal. Within an hour, I could breathe, and everything started to lift, and I started to remember who I was. But I think that was a gift in that time, to realize how people, when they feel so low, they can't get themselves out of that. They can't. It's not even about just feeling better. I literally in that time didn't give a fuck about anything, Jenny. I was like, I don't care about myself. I don't care about anyone. Didn't care about my dogs. I didn't care about my business. For the first time in my life, I wasn't thinking about posts I could put out. I mean, literally, like, I switched everything off. And the turnaround, apart from the steroids, which would, I mean, wow, I think I'm still struggling from having had the steroids, because my body needs to recover. But one of my clients, she beautifully gifted me a healing session with a woman who she's really good friends with. And, you know, I know healing works and the power of it, but my God, this woman, it was the most incredible experience. It was distance healing. She just told me how to prepare myself. I sobbed and sobbed, and a load of stuff came out of me. I have no idea what it was. You know, I've done a lot of healing. I cry easily. I let go of things, but my God, there was some stuff came out of me. And then after that, I came back. I felt like a different person. Can't describe that experience in any way, but I know it was all sent to help me and heal me. So yeah, I now know the importance of spending time. So I now am better at meditating, which of course I've done over the years, but always to help other people, whereas now it's to help me. I'm still not doing it daily, still not doing it as I should. I keep getting a nag from my spirit team. It's more like a smack across the head, actually, quite regularly, like, come on, you need to sort this out. But so yeah, I am definitely on the journey to helping myself and being that version of me that is able to, that I'm by no means there. Definitely not. So if anyone thinks I'm living this perfect existence, I'm bloody well not. I'll tell you that much for a fact.
And that's actually important for people to know, isn't it? You know, because you can look at something and think that they've got the most perfect life, and they've got it, and they're done.
It's all right for you. You've got all these clients, you've got this business, you've got no problems with money, and you've got this perfect wife. And I'm like, yeah, we still have problems. Like, please know, there's still problems in life. There's no such thing as a perfect life. There's no such thing as problem free. Yeah, you get a whole new level, new devil. You get a whole new set, don't you?
But it's again, it comes back to you make the decision on how quick you're going to get over something. You know, I know when I went back to my consultant earlier on this year, and you know, after 4 weeks after the surgery, and he said to me, right, when are you thinking that you'll be able to go back to work? And I laughed, I went back 2 weeks ago.
That's funny.
And how do you feel? And I said, I feel amazing, because we've done this, done the surgery, we've done this.
Next, I know, it's weird, isn't it? And yeah, if someone had said to me, I would have been the same, by the way, I feel quite sure. Someone had said to me, oh, you know, I'd been saying to you, you need to heal. You'd have said the same to me. I'm like, heal? No, fuck that, I'm out of it. I'm done. I'm finished with that part. In fact, interestingly enough, just after that, I don't know if it was a knock-on of the steroids or what it was, but my wife's a type 1 diabetic, as you know, I'm sure. But and she wears a sensor that measures her blood sugars all the time. And I had a few episodes where my blood sugars definitely went low, and I wouldn't have known this had I not understood diabetes from Emma's perspective. Like, I really didn't understand sugar at all. And I was wearing, so she said, we'll put a monitor on you for 2 weeks. Wow. I mean, I can't tell you how obsessed I became. I was checking it every 5 minutes, even though it had an alarm on it. I was like absolutely obsessive. I mean, if I ever proved to myself that what you focus on grows, that was the point. My blood sugars were going low all the time. I mean, I went from having a couple of episodes where I felt a bit woozy and lightheaded and needed to sit down and eat a few sweets, to holy crap, it was like I'd be with a client. Luckily, one of my clients who I was with was a nurse. I was like, my blood, she said, you look very pale. I said, I know, I think my blood sugars are going low. I need to measure it. So I really focused on the problem. Sorry, it was on my arm here. So you want to, I really focused on the problem, and it grew into a big deal. And this went on for about 6-7 days. And in the end, I said to Emma, no. She was like, wow. She said, you've got problems. You've got, you know, maybe you've got diabetes. I said, I don't think so. I'm not having that. Thank you. And I ripped it off, and I've never had a problem since. I decided in that moment. Now, I'm not saying, by the way, for anybody listening, that you can just choose not to have like some disease or illness. But I know that with the strength of my mindset, I was focusing on that and making it worse, 100%. It's a bit like when you've got a headache, all you can think about is this bloody headache. I've got a terrible headache, my head hurts. As soon as you start to not think about that and distract somebody from it, and, you know, do the thing that is, you know, whatever the headache's trying to tell you, fix that, they're gone. So yeah, quite an interesting one with the blood sugar. It's quite an interesting one. I think maybe I just wanted to eat a lot of sweets. I'm just like, oh, just
Cakes and sweets. You're doing well then.
It's not good. Sugar addiction's rife.
So if you had to give one piece of advice to people out there, what would you give?
About what?
Mindset.
Get it sorted. Most people don't understand what their mind is doing to them. I mean, every person I coach, I ask them, I find out what they're saying to themselves and what they're thinking to themselves, because it creates that feeling. Like the belief set that we create in our childhood, which of course doesn't match our adulthood in any way, is to work out what that is, what's creating the problem in the brain, because the brain is running old patterns, old beliefs, creating old feelings, old fears. So go and unpick all that. Go and get rid of all that. Set yourself free from all of that baggage. And most people don't think they can. In fact, I spoke to somebody yesterday and she said, well, you know, you can't ever really be free of, you know, your demons, can you? I said, yeah. She said, well, no, you know, you can probably focus on stuff. I said, no, you really can. She's like, no, but you can't get rid of the past. I said, no, you can't get rid of your past. Is your past. You can get rid of your perception and the feelings and beliefs that were created in the past. So that's my advice to anyone, is to work out what that shit is, because that will be holding you back. And once you let that go, there's space to grow and become who you want to be and where you want to go. And until you do that, you're just stuck and you're at loggerheads with yourself. You'll be doing that push me, pull me stuff in any part of life, career, relationships, health. I know, you know, and that self-awareness is most important. And some people never get that for themselves. and others do it for a living.
And it feels amazing when you do it for a living, doesn't it?
Once you open the trouble is, though, I will put a warning on this, the censor is here, that once you start down that road, it is quite addictive, and actually you can't put up with your own crap anymore. Like, once you start personal development, you have to keep on. It's a bit like, once you start decorating a room, you can't just do one half a wall. You've got to carry on, and so the whole room matches, otherwise it's all
Because
out.
it's obvious, isn't it? It's
Yeah,
obvious if you've only got half a wall painted. It's so obvious.
And it will stick out like a sore thumb, and it will bug you. So once you start, you have to carry on. So either keep your rose tinted glasses and all your pain and crap and stay stuck in where you are and enjoy your life as it is, or start down the road of wanting something more, because you're only here once in this body. So we know that for a fact. Your body will decease and you will leave one way or another. If you believe you die, you die. If you believe you go on, you'll go on. But one thing is for sure, we only have it once in this body. So as everybody's certain. So make it count. Yeah, I talk about next level stuff a lot, because once you've done one level, why'd you stay there? Like, this is what obviously drives me. It's like, well, I've done this level now. I've done the level of this. What's next? What happens next? Never going to be satisfied. And my dad had an eloquent saying, which I won't repeat here, but the generics of it were, you'll never be happy while you've got a hole in your bottom. That weren't the exact words he used, but I'm just trying to clean it up slightly, very London, my dad. But he was true. Yeah, I never will, because there's always more. There's always more while I'm here.
But don't you think, I've gone into the gaming world here, you play the game and you go up to that next level. That's the purpose of it, isn't it?
I want to be one where I'm collecting all the jewels and doing all the nice things. I don't want to be down in the cellar trying to clear out all the, it's just reminding me of a platform game I used to play when I was younger. But yeah, I want to be up with all the jewels and the lovely things. I want to be flying high, I want to be jumping over things, have superpowers, like, Super Mario Brothers is just coming to my head. Yeah. Jumps up and gets the stuff. I don't want to be running around the ground. I want to be, doing super jumps or whatever they were called. I wasn't very good at it.
Viv, thank you so much for coming and doing this special episode with me. I really do appreciate it. We will put down below, wherever you are watching or listening to this, we will put all of Viv's social media stuff. So go check her out, because she's really worth it. It's the way that I found Viv, and nicely stalked her quite some time. She didn't know I was there, I hasten to add.
That's the thing with stalking. Unless we know what we're being stalked, we don't know we're being stalked, do we? That's quite common in my world. I'm used to it. I'm okay with it. It's a big decision. Finding the person, is another bit of advice. Find the right person, and it's not necessarily the first person, but it's the right person, the person you feel connected to, aligned with, and drawn to. Like, just work that out, because finding the right person that you feel safe with to be able to go in to explore some of this stuff. Most people are scared what that stuff is. People say, maybe I'm going to find something I didn't know about. I'm like, well, I think you would have known about it, because it's your life, you've had it. But people are really scared of uncovering stuff. I had somebody last week who said she was scared that if she started crying, she wouldn't be able to stop. I'm like, well, don't worry, I'll be able to stop you. So you're in safe hands now. It's okay. So find someone to support you through that journey, and don't do it on your own. There is a lot of self-help out there, but actually you can only help yourself from the place you're at. You can't help yourself from the place you're going to. So go and find someone that can help you, whether that's a therapist or a coach or whatever.
And having been doing a support work for nearly 30 years now, and then at the beginning of this year starting on the NLP, the difference is massive. Difference is massive, because you can actually change people's lives.
But that's what NLP is, Neuro Linguistic Programming. Neuro, the brain, linguistic, the language, that's outside and inside, and the programs you're running, which are processes and strategies. So you're literally changing how you operate in life. It's like changing your operating manual. I never really talked about it like that, but that is exactly what it is. So yeah, it is possible. So it's not just, people think that coaching, and actually some, more traditional coaching is just talking and, finding a bit of information, but actually NLP is that, and then working out what you want to have instead and implementing that from a subconscious level. And that's a big difference. My mission is to help the world understand that. And my mission has just grown quite bigger and bigger and bigger over the years. And next year it's going to explode. So I can't wait. And to have you on the journey is an absolute joy, Jenny.
Right, thank you. I'm very honoured. Thanks, Viv.
Thank you.
Are you feeling stuck? Do you want to be able to create a better conversation with yourself, but just don't know where to start? I offer a free 20-minute session to see where you want to be and how to get you there. Just click on the link below. Remember, it's free. Book your space. It could change your life. Thanks for listening today. If you'd like to know more, you can find all the links down below. Oh, and don't forget to press subscribe so you can catch the next one. See you soon.